Welcome to PowerHab English. My friends, today I'm going to tell you a story about one of the most powerful and talked about leaders in the world, Vladimir Putin, the President of Russia. His life is like a movie full of struggles, action, and success. This is not just a story about a leader. It's a story about how a small boy with big dreams became one of the most influential men in the world. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully, because this story will not only improve your English, but also inspire you to believe in yourself. Let's start with his childhood, where it all began. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin was born on October 7, 1952, in a city called Leningrad, now St. Petersburg in Russia. He was the youngest of 3 children, but sadly his 2 older brothers died before he was born. This made him the only child of his parents, Maria Ivanovna Putina and Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin. His family lived in a very small apartment. It wasn't like the apartments we have today with separate bedrooms and kitchens. No, this apartment was in an old building called a communal flat. Imagine sharing one kitchen and one bathroom with multiple families. That's how little Vladimir grew up. In those days, there was no privacy. If you wanted to use the toilet, you might have to wait in line. The kitchen was always crowded with families cooking their meals at different times. Sometimes the smell of food from other families filled the apartment. But Vladimir's family didn't complain. They were used to living this way because many families in Russia lived like this after World War II. Leningrad, where Putin was born, had suffered a lot during the war. The city was almost destroyed, and people were still recovering from the horrors of war. Food was limited, and life was tough. Putin's father had been injured in the war, and his mother worked hard to take care of the family. Vladimir's parents loved him deeply, but they were strict. They taught him to work hard and never give up no matter how difficult life became. Little did they know that their small, skinny boy would grow up to lead their country one day. Putin wasn't a strong or big child. In fact, he was very small and skinny compared to other kids. Because of this, some boys in his neighborhood tried to bully him. But Vladimir wasn't the type to cry or run away. Instead, he decided to become strong, so no one could ever pick on him again. At the age of 12, he started learning judo and a Russian martial art. He practiced every single day. He wasn't just fighting to win matches. He was fighting to build his confidence and discipline. Over time, he became so good at judo that he earned a black belt. Even today, he loves judo and believes it helped him learn how to stay calm and think clearly in tough situations. While other kids dreamed of becoming doctors, engineers, or teachers, Vladimir had a very unique dream. He wanted to become a spy. Yes, a spy, just like in the movies. He was captivated by stories about the KGB, the Soviet Union's intelligence agency. At that time, the KGB was one of the most powerful organizations in the world, and young Putin desperately wanted to be part of it. But becoming a KGB officer wasn't easy. You had to be exceptionally smart, highly disciplined, and well-educated. Putin knew this, so he dedicated himself to his studies. Although he wasn't the best student at first, he made up for it with sheer effort and determination. He also learned German, which would later prove to be extremely useful in his future career. Life in the communal flat was anything but easy. Every morning, Vladimir's mother would wake up early to prepare breakfast in the shared kitchen. She would wait her turn to use the stove while other families cooked their meals. There were times when families would argue over whose turn it was to cook. Putin would eat simple meals like bread with butter and tea before heading off to school. After school, he'd often help his mother with small household chores. Despite not having much, Vladimir didn't complain. He never cared for expensive toys or clothes. He was too focused on his dream of becoming a KGB officer. After completing school, Putin was accepted into Leningrad State University, one of the most prestigious universities in the city. He decided to study law, a choice that aligned with his future ambitions, as the KGB often recruited people with legal backgrounds. During his time at university, Putin was quiet and focused, avoiding the social spotlight. While he wasn't the most popular or outgoing student, his professors quickly noticed his sharp mind and exceptional discipline. In 1975, Putin's dream finally became a reality. He joined the KGB. For a small boy from a modest family, this was an incredible achievement. Just imagine wearing the uniform of one of the most powerful intelligence agencies in the world. Putin began his career as a secret agent, working quietly behind the scenes to protect his country. His first major assignment took him to East Germany during the Cold War, a tense period when the world was divided between the Soviet Union and the United States. Putin worked diligently gathering intelligence and learning about the world beyond Russia. In East Germany, he refined his German skills and developed the ability to navigate complex and high-stakes situations. Being a spy was difficult, but Putin thrived on the challenge. He was gaining valuable lessons that would eventually help him lead his nation. This is just the beginning of Vladimir Putin's incredible journey, from a small, cramped apartment in Leningrad to the powerful halls of the KGB. His story already demonstrates how determination, perseverance, and hard work can change everything. At this stage, Vladimir Putin was flourishing as a KGB officer in East Germany. But in 1989, something monumental happened that would alter the course of his life and the course of history. The Berlin Wall fell, and soon after, the Soviet Union began to show signs of weakness. People were becoming increasingly dissatisfied with the government, and life in Russia became more difficult for everyone. Putin realized that the world was changing at a rapid pace. In 1990, Vladimir Putin returned to his hometown of Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. He had left the KGB in 1991 because he wanted to start a new chapter in his life. It was time for him to do something different, something bigger. However, when Putin left the KGB, he didn't immediately step into a leadership role. He began with a small job at Leningrad State University, the same university where he had studied. There he worked as an assistant to one of his old professors, helping with administrative work. But soon, an opportunity knocked on his door. A man named Anatoly Sobchak, who was the mayor of St. Petersburg, needed someone smart and trustworthy to work with him. Putin got the job, and this became his first step into politics. At this point, Putin was not yet a politician, but he learned quickly. He worked hard behind the scenes, organizing projects, handling important tasks, and making sure the city ran smoothly. People started noticing him because, while he was quiet, he was effective. Putin wasn't flashy or loud like some other politicians. He didn't talk too much, but when he did, people listened. He was known for solving problems quickly and staying calm even in tough situations. One of his main qualities was loyalty. He stayed loyal to his boss, Anatoly Sobchak, even when things got difficult. This loyalty earned him the trust of others. They knew he wasn't someone who would betray others for personal gain. In 1996, Sobchak lost his position as mayor, and Putin's job in St. Petersburg ended. Many people thought this was the end of his career, but Putin didn't give up. He moved to Moscow, the capital of Russia, to start fresh. In Moscow, Putin began working in the Russian government. He started with small jobs, but he always gave his best. His ability to stay calm, solve problems, and keep things under control impressed the higher-ups. Soon Boris Yeltsin, the president of Russia at that time, noticed him. Yeltsin was looking for someone reliable to help manage the country, and Putin seemed like the perfect choice. In 1999, something huge happened. Boris Yeltsin made Vladimir Putin the Prime Minister of Russia. This was a big deal because the Prime Minister is the second most powerful person in the country. But Russia was going through a tough time. The economy was weak, corruption was everywhere, and people were losing hope. Putin had a lot of work to do, but he didn't back down. He showed people that he was serious about making changes. He introduced strict policies to fight corruption and worked to make the government more organized. Slowly, people started believing in him. On December 31st, 1999, something unexpected happened. Boris Yeltsin announced that he was resigning as president, and guess who he chose to replace him? Vladimir Putin. It was a surprise for everyone. Many people didn't know much about Vladimir Putin back then, but Yeltsin trusted him to take over. On the first day of the new millennium, January 1st, 2000, Vladimir Putin became the acting president of Russia. Putin didn't waste any time. He started working immediately to solve Russia's problems. He focused on improving the economy, reducing crime, and making the country stronger. One of his first big challenges was dealing with Chechnya, a region in Russia that was fighting for independence. There were many violent conflicts, but Putin took a firm stand. He wanted to show the world that Russia was strong and would not give up its territory. His actions made him popular among many Russians who were tired of the country looking weak. They saw Putin as a leader who could bring order and strength back to Russia. In March 2000, Russia held a presidential election, and Putin won with a large number of votes. He officially became the president of Russia. This marked the start of a new era for the country. Putin was young, energetic, and determined to make Russia a global power again. He introduced new policies to boost the economy, improve health care, and modernize the military. As Putin became more powerful, he also became richer. Today he is known for his luxurious lifestyle. He reportedly owns expensive jets, yachts, and luxury cars. He even has a personal collection of watches worth millions of dollars. However, Putin rarely talks about his wealth. He prefers to keep his personal life private. Some people criticize him for this, but others admire his focus on work rather than showing off. Putin married Lyudmila Shkrebneva in 1983. The couple had two daughters, Maria and Katerina, but they kept their family life very private. Putin didn't want his children to be in the public eye because he wanted to protect them. In 2013, Putin and Lyudmila announced their divorce. They said it was a mutual decision and that they had grown apart over the years. Since then, Putin's love life has been the subject of speculation. Some rumors say he has a new partner, but he has never confirmed anything publicly. As a leader, Putin has faced his share of controversies. Some people accuse him of being too strict or controlling, while others criticize his government for limiting freedom of speech. But despite the criticism, Putin has always stayed focused on his goals. He believes that a strong leader must make tough decisions even if they are unpopular. Putin's main goal has always been to make Russia a powerful and respected country. He works tirelessly to achieve this even after more than 2 decades in power. His story shows that hard work, discipline, and determination can take you far in life. In the early 2000s, Putin focused on fixing Russia's broken systems. The economy was in bad shape, with people struggling to find jobs and feed their families. Factories were closed, roads were in poor condition, and corruption was everywhere. Putin started by introducing strict policies to bring order to the country. He worked on collecting unpaid taxes, reforming businesses, and attracting foreign investment. Slowly but surely, Russia's economy began to grow. Oil and gas became Russia's most powerful industries under his leadership. This brought a lot of money into the country, and Putin used it to rebuild Russia. Putin knew that a strong country needed a strong military. After years of neglect, Russia's army was in terrible condition. Soldiers lacked proper training, and equipment was outdated. Putin immediately set to work on rebuilding the Russian military, knowing it was essential for the country's security and future. Putin began investing heavily in modernizing Russia's military. He introduced advanced weapons, better training programs, and new technology. Over time, Russia became one of the most powerful military forces in the world. This was a big step in showing the world that Russia was back on the global stage. Putin understood the power of information, and he knew that controlling the media was essential to shaping public opinion. During his presidency, he took steps to ensure that most major television networks in Russia were aligned with his government. This move was controversial, but Putin believed it was necessary to keep the country stable. He argued that too much freedom in the media could lead to chaos. Whether people agreed with him or not, his strategy worked in consolidating his control over the country. When Putin became president, Russia was controlled by a group of extremely wealthy businessmen called oligarchs. These oligarchs had gained massive wealth and power after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Many of them used their money to influence politics and control government decisions. Putin didn't like this. He believed that no one should be more powerful than the government. He started taking action against the oligarchs, forcing many of them to leave the country or give up their businesses. This was risky because these men were very influential, but Putin's determination paid off. He made it clear that in his Russia, no one was above the law. As President Putin worked hard to rebuild Russia's relationships with other countries. He traveled the world meeting with leaders from the United States, China, Europe, and the Middle East. Putin had a unique style. He was direct, confident, and always in control. His background as a KGB officer helped him understand people and situations better than most leaders. He knew when to be friendly and when to be firm. This made him a respected and sometimes feared figure on the global stage. By the mid-2000s, Putin had become one of the most powerful men in the world. With power came luxury. Putin is said to own multiple palaces, private jets, and even a super yacht. One of his most famous properties is a massive mansion on the Black Sea, often called Putin's Palace. He also has a love for expensive cars and watches. His watch collection alone is worth millions of dollars. But despite his wealth, Putin keeps his personal life very private. He rarely talks about his family or relationships. Putin is famous for his strongman image. He loves to show the world that he is tough and fearless. Over the years, he has been photographed doing activities like riding a horse shirtless in Siberia, diving underwater to explore shipwrecks, flying fighter jets and helicopters, and practicing judo, a martial art he has mastered since his youth. These images are carefully planned to show Putin as a leader who is strong, active, and ready to defend his country at any cost. One of Putin's greatest skills is balancing allies and enemies. He knows how to work with countries like China and India to build strong partnerships while standing up to powerful nations like the United States. In 2014, Putin made one of his most controversial moves by annexing Crimea, a region that was part of Ukraine. This move shocked the world and led to heavy sanctions against Russia. But inside Russia, many people supported Putin's decision to annex Crimea. They saw it as a bold and necessary step to protect Russia's interests on the global stage. However, being a leader for so many years hasn't been easy for Putin. He has faced criticism from both inside and outside of Russia. Many people accuse him of limiting freedom of speech and cracking down on protests. Critics argue that his rule is too authoritarian, stifling political freedoms and restricting opposition. But despite this criticism, Putin firmly believes that his style of leadership is essential to maintain Russia's stability and strength. He often says, "A strong leader must make tough decisions, even if they are unpopular." This has been his guiding principle throughout his presidency. While Putin is widely known for his tough, no-nonsense, and disciplined persona, those close to him say he also has a softer, more personal side. Putin has a deep love for animals, particularly dogs. Over the years, world leaders have gifted him several dogs, and he is known to spend quality time with them at his residence. In addition to his affection for animals, Putin is an admirer of classical music and has a particular fondness for playing the piano. These seemingly simple pleasures provide a stark contrast to his public persona, showcasing that even one of the most powerful and feared men in the world has moments of personal joy. Putin's journey from a small cramped apartment in Leningrad to the presidency of Russia is nothing short of extraordinary. Despite growing up in hardship and facing many challenges along the way, he never gave up on his ambitions. His life reflects the power of determination, intelligence, and the ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Over the years, Putin has become one of the most influential leaders of the 21st century, constantly evolving and reshaping Russia's position on the global stage. As his tenure as president continued, Vladimir Putin set his sights on larger goals. His ambitions were not merely limited to strengthening Russia. He wanted to place Russia at the forefront of global power and ensure that it was recognized as a force to be reckoned with. However, this phase of Putin's journey wasn't without its challenges. It was also filled with bold decisions and controversies that kept the world talking. Putin is often considered one of the most strategic leaders in history. He doesn't make decisions on a whim. Every action is carefully calculated with long-term effects in mind. One of his major strategies has been forming strong alliances with countries that share similar goals and values. For example, Putin has worked closely with China, particularly to strengthen economic ties between the two countries. Together, they have launched massive projects such as new trade routes and pipelines. This partnership has been crucial in reducing Russia's reliance on Western countries, particularly the United States and European nations. Another key aspect of Putin's strategy has been Russia's growing influence in the Middle East. Putin has actively supported leaders in countries like Syria, helping them maintain power during difficult and tumultuous periods. This involvement has positioned Russia as a key player in the region, allowing Putin to negotiate with Western nations on equal terms. His actions in the Middle East demonstrate his commitment to building Russia's influence not just through traditional military might, but also through strategic, political, and diplomatic relationships. In today's rapidly evolving world, wars aren't only fought with tanks, guns, and missiles. Technology now plays an equally crucial role in shaping global power. Putin understood this before many of his contemporaries. Under his leadership, Russia has invested heavily in cyber technology and cyber warfare. Russian hackers have become some of the most skilled and dangerous in the world, capable of influencing global events without firing a single shot. This has provided Russia with a unique form of power and influence, demonstrating how modern conflicts are increasingly taking place in cyberspace rather than on traditional battlefields. For example, there have been claims that Russian hackers interfered in the elections of other countries. While these accusations are controversial, they highlight just how much influence Putin has gained through technology. One of Putin's greatest achievements is reviving a sense of pride among Russian citizens. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, many Russians felt embarrassed about their country. They believed that Russia was no longer strong or respected. Putin worked tirelessly to change this mindset. He launched massive projects to celebrate Russian history, culture, and achievements. He brought back military parades, built new museums, and even introduced laws to protect the Russian language. Putin often says, "A nation that forgets its history has no future." This belief has shaped many of his policies and inspired millions of Russians to take pride in their country once again. When it comes to his health, Putin is extremely disciplined. He starts his day with a healthy breakfast, which usually includes quail eggs, cottage cheese, and fresh juice. After that, he swims for about an hour and exercises in the gym. This strict routine helps him stay fit and focused, preparing him for the challenges ahead. Putin has been seen driving modest cars during official visits. This is part of his image as a leader who understands the struggles of ordinary people. He wants to portray himself as someone who is in touch with the average citizen, unlike other leaders who might be more focused on luxury. One of Putin's boldest moves was creating the Eurasian Economic Union, EAEU. This organization brings together countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Armenia to form a powerful economic bloc. The EAEU allows member countries to trade freely, strengthening their economies and reducing dependence on the West. Putin's goal is to create a system where Russia leads the way, offering alternatives to Western institutions. This move has helped Russia gain influence in Central Asia and beyond, further cementing Putin's legacy as a visionary leader. While Putin has modernized many aspects of Russia, he has also worked to protect its traditions. He believes that Russian values are unique and shouldn't be influenced by Western ideologies. For example, Putin has taken strong positions on topics like religion, family, and education. He has supported the Russian Orthodox Church, calling it an important part of the country's heritage. This has earned him respect from conservative groups, though it has also sparked debates about the separation of church and state. Putin's ability to stay in power for so many years is a testament to his adaptability. He has faced economic crises, political scandals, and even global isolation, but no matter what challenges come his way, he always finds a way to bounce back. One of his secrets is his ability to connect with ordinary Russians. He holds an annual event called Direct Line with Putin, where citizens can ask him questions directly. This event shows that he is not just a leader, but also someone who listens to the concerns of his people. As Putin's time as leader continues, his legacy becomes more complex. Some see him as a hero who saved Russia from collapse and restored its glory, while others view him as a controversial figure who has made bold and sometimes risky decisions. Regardless of opinions, one thing is clear. Vladimir Putin's life is a story of resilience, determination, and vision. His journey from a poor childhood to the presidency of one of the world's most powerful countries is nothing short of remarkable. As we approach the final chapter of Vladimir Putin's life story, it is crucial to focus on the legacy he is building, a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come. Love him or hate him, Putin's journey is proof that resilience, intelligence, and strategy can change the course of history. Putin's success as a leader lies in his ability to adapt. He is not someone who follows the same path forever. Instead, he has constantly evolved, staying ahead of the curve. Instead, Putin analyzes, learns, and adjusts his strategies. This ability to adapt and stay ahead of the curve has allowed him to maintain power for over 2 decades. When asked about his leadership style, Putin once said, "Leadership is not about staying in power, it's about staying relevant." This mindset has shaped his policies and decisions. He understands that to remain strong, Russia must evolve with the world while holding on to its unique identity. Putin's focus has always been bigger than just Russia. He dreams of creating a multipolar world, a world where no single country dominates. He believes in giving smaller nations a voice and challenging the global powers that try to control everything. To achieve this, Putin has invested heavily in alliances. Russia's relationships with countries like China, India, and many African nations have never been stronger. He has also supported countries struggling under Western sanctions, offering them trade deals and military assistance. Politics is often compared to a game of chess, and Putin is a grandmaster. He doesn't make moves based on impulse. Instead, he calculates every step. Whether it's negotiating a peace deal or responding to criticism, Putin remains calm and focused. One of his most famous moments came during a global summit, where leaders of powerful nations tried to corner him with accusations. Instead of losing his temper, Putin smiled and responded with facts, turning the situation in his favor. This ability to stay composed under pressure is something every aspiring leader can learn from. As he once said, "Emotions are a luxury in politics." Putin knows that his time as president won't last forever. That's why he has spent years building a strong foundation for Russia's future. He has encouraged young Russians to pursue careers in science, technology, and engineering, believing that the future belongs to nations that lead in innovation. Under his leadership, Russia's government has reformed the education system, making it more accessible to students in rural areas. Putin often visits schools and universities, inspiring the next generation of leaders. In healthcare, Russia has built new hospitals and improved access to medical care, especially in remote regions. Putin's message to his people is simple. Russia's strength lies in its people. If you invest in them, the country will thrive. Being a leader isn't easy, and Putin's life is proof of that. He has faced endless criticism both at home and abroad. There are constant debates about his policies, decisions, and leadership style. Yet despite the pressure, Putin never lets it affect him. He once said, "If you try to please everyone, you will lose yourself." A true leader must stand by their principles, even when the world disagrees. This belief has guided him through some of the toughest moments in his career, whether it's dealing with sanctions or navigating international conflicts. International conflicts and political opposition have not stopped Putin from persevering. What makes Putin so fascinating is not just his political career, but also the man behind the leader. He has a deep love for adventure, enjoying activities like horse riding, diving, and even piloting planes. These adventures reflect his fearless nature and love for challenges, showcasing that he's not afraid to push boundaries and step into unknown territories. Intellectual curiosity is another key aspect of Putin's life. He reads extensively, studying history, politics, and military strategy. He believes that knowledge is the ultimate weapon, and this mindset has played a significant role in his success as a leader. Putin is constantly seeking to learn and improve, never settling for what he already knows. This intellectual drive has made him a shrewd and capable leader, always several steps ahead of his competitors. As we conclude Putin's story, let's focus on the valuable lessons we can take away from his life. 1. Resilience matters. Life is full of challenges, but those who stay strong and adapt can overcome anything. Putin has faced political struggles, economic hardships, and global isolation, yet he continues to rise above them. His journey shows that resilience is key to achieving success. 2. Think strategically. Don't rush into decisions. Take time to analyze and plan. Putin is known for his calculated, thoughtful decision-making process. He understands the importance of strategic thinking, especially when it comes to complex political and international matters. 3. Stay true to yourself. Leadership isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about standing by your principles. Putin has never wavered in his beliefs, even when faced with harsh criticism. His ability to remain steadfast in his principles is a testament to his strength as a leader. 4. Invest in growth. Whether personal or professional, always strive to improve yourself and the people around you. Putin's growth as a leader has been a result of continuous learning and strategic personal development. He understands the importance of nurturing talent and staying committed to improvement. Vladimir Putin's journey from a small apartment in Leningrad to the world stage is a story of determination, courage, and vision. His life reminds us that greatness is not about where you start, but how far you are willing to go. Putin's rise to power exemplifies the power of persistence and vision. As we end this incredible story, remember that your future is in your hands. If you dream big, work hard, and stay focused, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Let Putin's story be a reminder that no matter where you start, you can overcome any challenge and build the life you want. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and learned something valuable, be sure to subscribe to PowerHab English for more inspiring lessons on leadership strategy and the stories of remarkable individuals who have shaped the world. Keep dreaming big and stay focused. Your journey to greatness starts now.